Ultra Reddit presents, what's your favorite a man walks into a bar joke?
Before we begin, do us a favor by clicking that like button, and subscribe to our channel for more top Reddit stories every day.
A man walks into a bar and orders a whiskey. When the barman serves it up, he takes it out to the bench in front of the bar to drink it. As he's enjoying his drink, a nun walks by, and glares at him sourly. "How can you pollute your soul with the devil's drink like that?" she asks. The man shrugs. "It's not the devil, it's just whiskey, but it's sinful and wicked." "How do you know it's so bad, then? Have you ever tasted whiskey?" "Of course not. My sisters and Mother Superior told me how evil drink is." "But how do they know? Have they ever had a drink?" They go back and forth like this for a while. Before at last the nun relents. "Well, I suppose that if I were to try a sip of whiskey, I would better understand how it corrupts the soul. But it wouldn't do for any of my sisters to come by here and see me drinking. Could you order me one in a teacup?" The man agrees this is fair, and walks inside to the barman. "2 whiskeys, but put one in a teacup, please." The barman slams his hand down on the bar and shouts, "Is that damn nun here again?" A cowboy rode into town and stopped at a saloon for a drink. Unfortunately, the locals always had a habit of picking on strangers, which he was. When he finished his drink, he found his horse had been stolen. He went back into the bar, handily flipped his gun into the air, caught it above his head without even looking and fired a shot into the ceiling. "Which one of you sidewinders stole my horse?" he yelled with surprising forcefulness. No one answered. "All right, I'm gonna have another beer, and if my horse ain't back outside by the time I finish, I'm gonna do what I done in Texas. And I don't like to have to do what I done in Texas." Some of the locals shifted restlessly. The man, true to his word, had another beer, walked outside, and his horse has been returned to the post. He saddled up and started to ride out of town. The bartender wandered out of the bar and asked, "Say partner, before you go, what happened in Texas?" The cowboy turned back and said, "I had to walk home." Reminds me to a one-liner from an episode of Blackadder, when Edmund is being rude to the industrialist. "Mind your tongue, sir, or I shall take off my belt and by thunder my trousers will fall down." An Irishman walks into a bar in New York City and orders 3 pints of beer. He drinks each one in turn, and walks out. The next night he returns, and again orders 3 pints of beer, and then again the next night. The bartender offers to serve them consecutively so they won't go flat. But the Irishman explains, "I'd rather see them all lined up before me. I left 2 brothers behind in Ireland, and since we used to meet at the pub every night and have a pint together, I feel closer to them when I come drink my pint in there too." This goes on for a year, and then one night, the Irishman fails to come in. The regulars are concerned, and then saddened when he returns a few nights later and orders only 2 pints of beer. When the bartender serves him, he says, "I see you didn't order a beer for one of your brothers. My condolences on your loss. My brothers are still alive." The Irishman says, "I didn't order my own beer. My wife made me promise to give up drinking. Shit, I accidentally reposted your joke. Sorry." "You told it way better though." A man walks into a bar, orders a drink, downs it really quickly, orders another, downs that one too. The bartender says, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" The man says, "No, honestly, I'm not. I wanted to surprise my wife, and I caught her in bed with another man." The bartender says, "Oh, man, that's awful. What are you going to do?" The man, "I'm gonna drink myself to death. I just want to die." Bartender, "That's not what I'd do. If I caught another man with my wife, I'd kill the bastard." The man, "Hey, that's it. Thanks." The man leaves, and comes back an hour later. The bartender asks, "So, did you do it? Did you kill the guy?" The man, big smile on his face, says, "No, I fucked your wife." Edit. Thank you for the silver and gold, kind Redditors. An 80-year-old blind man walks into a pub and sits at the bar. He orders a pint and tells the landlord, "I've been blind for 50 years, lad. My hearing's perfectly attuned. I bet can tell you what's happening in any room in this pub." "Oh really?" says the landlord. "Go ahead then." The old man cups a hand round his ear, tilts his head to the ceiling and listens. "In your bathroom, upstairs, the one at the end of the corridor. A tap's been left on." Skeptical, the landlord sends his nephew upstairs to check. His nephew returns and confirms the findings. "Could have been luck," says the landlord. "Go on, try again." The old man cups his ear, tilts his head to the floor and listens. "In your cellar," he says, "I can hear scurrying. You have a rat infestation." "You're talking rubbish," says the landlord, and sends his nephew to check. He returns and the old man is right, again. Now intrigued, the landlord urges him to try again. He cups a hand round his ear and listens to somewhere behind the bar. "Ah, In the storeroom down that corridor, he says, someone's having at it in there right now. The nephew goes and checks the storeroom. And what do you know? He finds two of the bar staff shagging away in there. Bloody hell, old man, you truly are incredible, says the landlord. What else can you hear? The old geezer hushes the landlord, places his head on the bar and listens for a while. He lifts his head off the bar and says, "Yep, your beer pump is definitely out of action." The landlord checks the pump. "Ha, you're wrong, old man. It's working perfectly." "Well then, where's my fucking pint?" A man walks into a bar with a bag and orders a drink. After a while, the bartender asks him what is in the bag. The man says nothing. "Don't worry about it." The night continues and the bartender keeps asking, but the man keeps giving him the same answer. Towards the end of the night, the bartender offers the man a free beer if the man shows him what is in the bag. The man agrees. He reaches into the bag and pulls out a tiny piano and a tiny man that sits down and starts playing the piano. The bartender says, "Wow. That's amazing. Where did you find that guy?" The man looks up and says, "I have this magic lamp that grants me wishes, but the stupid thing is broken." The man then hands the bartender the lamp and says, "You can try it if you want." The bartender happily grabs the lamp and wishes for $1,000,000 and the room is suddenly filled with $1,000,000. "This thing is definitely broken," says the bartender. The man replies, "Tell me about it. Do you really think I wished for a 12-inch pianist?" Guy walks into a bar, grabs a seat and orders a whiskey double, neat. The bartender prepares his drink with great delicacy and brings it right over. The gentleman reaches into his blazer searching frantically. This catches the bartender's attention, so he monitors the patron out the corner of his eye. Finally the man finds what he's looking for and sighs a sigh of relief. He pulls out a straw and takes a sip of his whiskey. The perplexed bartender grabs his attention. "I'm terribly sorry, sir. Was your glass dirty?" To which the man replies, surprised, "Oh no, everything's fine. I just promised my wife I'd never put my lips on another glass of whiskey again." Whiskey double, neat. The bartender prepares his drink with great delicacy, by just pouring it into the glass. Thoughtful face. Another one. A grizzled old sea captain walks into a bar. He has a peg leg, an eye patch, and a hook hand. The captain sits down and orders a drink. The bartender serves it, and asks the captain a question. "If you don't mind, how did you get that peg leg?" "I were chasing the white whale, laddie. Dangerous business." "Well, how did you get the hook hand?" "Yar, had me a swashbuckling accident." "Wow. Well, what about the eye patch?" "A seagull pooped in me eye." "What?" asks the bartender. "How did you lose your eye from seagull poop?" "Yar, 'twere me first day with the hook." This is even funnier if you tell elaborate stories about the leg and hand first, stretching the joke out to like 15 minutes of nautical jargon. A priest, a Baptist and a rabbi walk into a bar and start getting sloshed. They decide that they need to test their faith to see which one is the best. They decide the ultimate challenge is to see if they can convert a bear. So the next day they all go out into the wood to try and meet up again at the bar that night. The priest comes in with a broken arm and scratches all over his body and smilingly says, "I had to run around the bear and read him the entire Bible, but he saw the light and he was converted." The Baptist is on crutches with 2 broken legs and a broken arm and his head all bandaged. He says, "I had to wrestle that bear to the ground and baptize him in the stream, but he saw the light and he was converted. Hallelujah." Then the rabbi gets wheeled in a full body cast. He says, "You know, in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have started with circumcision." An Englishman, Scotsman and Irishman walk into a bar and begin drinking. Soon they noticed a large glass vase of gold coins in the corner and asked the barman what was it there for. The barman told them, "That is, there is the prize for anyone who can 1: drink a full bottle of tequila in 2 minutes, 2: go into that room over there with a lion inside and pull a thorn from the lion's foot, 3: finally go upstairs and make love to a 100-year-old woman." The prize money was too much for the men to pass over, so they agreed to try. The Englishman goes first, but after only half the tequila he collapses drunk. The Scotsman is next. He downs the tequila and staggers to the lion's room. The door is closed and there is a massive scream, and soon afterwards he stumbles back out of the room with his hand bitten off. The Irishman drinks the tequila and stumbles towards the lion's room. The door is closed behind him and almost immediately there are massive screams and shouts coming from behind the door, screams which last for nearly 10 minutes. There is banging up against the sides of the door and everything, and then silence. The Irishman emerges battered, bleeding and torn. Now he says, "Where is that lady with the thorn in her foot?" A tired man walks into a bar with a monkey on his shoulder. He sits down and orders a drink, and as soon as he does, the monkey just starts running everywhere, hanging from the ceiling fan, until it runs over to a woman and takes the cherry from her drink and swallows it whole. The man gets up, apologizes profusely, and pays for his and the woman's drink. A few days later, they show up again. Same story, sits down, monkey goes crazy, except this time it starts playing on the pool table. It picks up the 8-ball and swallows it whole. The man gets up, apologizes, and pays the bartender for his drink and the cost of the 8-ball. A few days later again, he and the monkey walk in and sit down. The monkey starts going crazy again, runs over to a woman's drink, steals the cherry out of it, but this time it shoves the cherry up its ass before eating it whole. Now at this point the bartender just can't keep his silence. Dude, I just gotta say, you're polite and all, but what the hell is wrong with your monkey? Now he's shoving the food up his ass. Yeah, after the 8-ball he measures everything before he eats it.
Thank you for watching this fantastic story. Please tap one of the 4 videos on the screen for another amazing top Reddit stories.